Sold I to the motion ships. Minute after they took I from the bottomless pit. But my hand was made strong by the hand of the Almighty. We forward in this generation triumphantly. Won't you have to sing another songs of freedom? It's all I ever heard. Redemption song, redemption song.
Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. And how long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? And some said it's just a part of it. Well, we've got to fulfill the book. Won't you help me sing another song of freedom? It's all I ever had. Redemption song, yes Lord. Redemption song, redemption song. Wop choo wop choo wop.
Come on with me, people.
Wop choo wop choo wop.
Come on with me, children.
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. Have no fear for atomic energy, 'cause none of them can stop the time. How long shall they kill our prophets while we stand aside and look? Some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book.
So won't you help me sing another song of freedom? It's all I ever had. Oh,
Redemption song,
yes, Lord.
redemption song, redemption song, redemption song.
Songs of freedom.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Susanne. I'm the music director here. I'm in my office at 310 Danforth beside my acoustic piano with a bright rainbow flag behind me. And I'm here with our announcements for the coming week. Ongoing at Neighborhood. The Spirit Choir rehearses every Monday night from 7 to 8:30 p.m. That's currently on Zoom. We hope to be rehearsing in our sanctuary soon. If you're interested in singing with our choir, you're welcome to join. Contact me, music@nuuc.ca. Every Tuesday morning, our minister is offering coffee talk over Zoom. All are welcome to drop in and have a chat. That's Tuesday mornings from 9:30 to 10:30 a.m. We continue to support Club Sandwich. Club Sandwich provides sandwiches for local hungry folks. If you can prepare some sandwiches and individually wrap them, drop them off at contactless pickup at MCC 112 Simpson on Wednesdays anytime before 8 or Thursdays before noon because they go out at noon on Thursdays. Be greatly appreciated. Meditation is weekly on Wednesday evenings from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. That's led by Wayne and currently over Zoom. Today is our annual budget meeting. That's following our Sunday service today. The meeting will be held on Zoom. You can log on at noon to register. Just stay on after our meeting today. Also, you can register. Tomorrow, launching Black History Month with Black folk musician Reggie Harris in a workshop about the Underground Railroad and songs that support it. That is tomorrow night from 7:10 to 8:10 p.m. It's at a separate Zoom link, so check the Monday mailing if you'd like to join. Following his workshop, we will rejoin in the Sunday service space to have a facilitated discussion on how we here at Neighborhood can activate the 8th principle. That discussion will happen from 8:15 to 9 p.m. and it will be facilitated by Bruce Line. We have an investment update meeting following our Sunday service on Sunday, February 20th from 12:30 to 2 p.m. This Saturday is our monthly talent night. Our talent night is an open mic evening for all ages and all types of talents. You're welcome to come and perform and share for an enthusiastic audience made of members and friends of Neighborhood. The event is hosted by MC Allison and occurs in our music Zoom, not here in our service Zoom, in our music Zoom. We hope to see you there, 7:30 p.m. This week's question to the community. Can you recall a time when you have felt redeemed? Think about this. Our minister hopes you'll be willing to share when the time comes in the service. And next Sunday, our theme is Being Neighborly. Our service weaver will be Deb Berdizon. The speaker is our minister, Rev. Wayne Walder, and music will be mostly provided by our own spirit choir. I think there's now a special announcement from our minister.
Hello, everyone. We're not sure that everyone might have gotten the letter that I wrote talking about my retirement coming in June of this year. And I just wanted to let everyone know verbally that I am retiring, and maybe we'll do this a couple times in case people have missed that letter. But I also wanted to say thank you. Thank you for 21 and a half years of being able to offer service, to share intimacy, and to strive for spirit. Thank you.
Thanks, Rev. Wayne. I'm sure everyone in the congregation will treasure the remaining time we have with you here. Welcome, everyone, to our Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation service. My name is Gordon Thorne. I will be your virtual service weaver this morning from home. This service is being recorded for both the public, both on YouTube and our website. Joys and concerns will be edited out. If you have privacy concerns, you can turn off your camera so you're not seen and then rename yourself. Now, we have nowhere else to go, nothing else to do. So let us bring our hearts and minds and spirits together as one as we give greeting and gratitude for being with each other. Let us be one with each other. Let this be our threshold moment. Let us enter sacred space together. Our service begins now. As we light our chalice, you are encouraged to light your own personal chalice or candle, or hold your hands in the shape of a chalice. But either way, join Susanne as we sing.
We light this chalice to remember, to light the fire within our own hearts.
And now for our prelude. Susanne, would you like to introduce it?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much, Gordon. This morning's prelude is a song the choir has done many times, but I have recorded alone, being a choir of one. It's called Healing Waters by Cliff Harden. This song is a prayer for redemption using the metaphor of water. The song is asking for love, peace, and light to help us become our higher selves. We have sang this song for many years, and it has opened my heart. But as I was typing out the lyrics into the song video, it was the first time I really became aware of a harmful metaphor in the third verse about how the light would cleanse all the darkness out of us. And darkness as a dirty and bad thing has harmed people of color. I wanted to draw attention to this because in my musical leadership position here, I aim to draw people in, not have them feel excluded. And I hope the congregation will join me and we can support each other in the growth and awareness of our words and our actions. So when you hear this verse in the song today, know that I meant it in the sense that darkness is a metaphor for me of all the things that block me from being my highest self. Please enjoy Healing Waters. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. River of love, wash over me. Cleanse all the loneliness and fear out of me. Fill my heart so I can trust again. River of love, wash over me. River of peace, wash over me, cleanse all the hatred and anger out of me. Fill my hands with charity. Oh, river of peace, wash over me. River of light, wash over me, cleanse all the doubt and darkness out of me. Fill my mind with colors in harmony. River of light, wash over me. River of peace,
That was lovely. Thank you, Susanne, and the many Susannes. I start by acknowledging that the Wendat, the Anishinaabeg Nation, the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, and the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nations, who lived here before me and are living here now, together with Métis and Inuit, I offer my gratitude to our First Nations for their care for and teachings about our earth and our relations, and I will work to honor these teachings. Good morning and welcome. Our minister is the Reverend Wayne Walder, and our musical director is Susanne Maziarz. Zee Getchell facilitates our Sunday Child and Caregiver program. Mike Kosowski will be doing the Zoom web hosting duties, and thank you to all of them. By now, we all know Zoom etiquette. If you have any tech questions or concerns, I encourage you to send a direct message to either Zee or Peter. They'll be able to help you out. If you are visiting us today for the first time, welcome. And I encourage you to stay after service. You can go to a breakout room to enjoy fellowship and conversation, or you can stay in the main room with our minister, who is there to answer any questions you might have about who we are or what we do. Just an example, our mission at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. Today's theme is redemption, the act of saving or being saved from sin, error, or evil. Redemption is central to Christian theology. Mankind is redeemed after Jesus sacrifices himself for our sins. Whereas in the theological sense of redemption, the principal action is between the soul and its creator. In the secular sense, an act of redemption restores an individual to society in some way. For that, we can look to the redemption narratives in storytelling. Tales of redemption go back as far as the Greek myths of Heracles and Sotaria, the goddess of salvation. For more modern stories, think Scrooge in Christmas Carol. Scrooge is a terrible miser who, with the help of 3 ghosts, is redeemed and when he sees the error of his ways and becomes a changed man. Hollywood is rife with tales of heroes seeking redemption. How about Groundhog Day with Bill Murray? He plays a TV weatherman, Phil Connors, an egotistical jerk who is forced to relive February 2nd again and again, until he uses his vast experience of the day to help other people and thus is redeemed. A more recent Hollywood version might be the Avengers and the Marvel Universe. Each hero character relies on a redemption arc, but let's look at Tony Stark, a self-centered billionaire arms dealer who atones by creating Iron Man to do good, and ultimately is redeemed when he sacrifices himself for half of the universe in the final movie. Now, all these stories of characters seeking redemption for sins they have committed, but who can grant it? In Christian theology and many other faiths, it can only come from God or the gods. Man cannot redeem himself. He can only pay for his sins and hope for God's redemption. Universalists believe that everyone will be redeemed. It's in our name, Universalists. So, who can grant redemption? I'd like to use the words of Reverend Elizabeth Lerner McClay. May we not pray for intervention, salvation, completion, redemption, those tired prayers that assume saving is someone else's work, only God's work. May we understand that we cannot be saved by or for anyone or anything but each other. Each other is what we are given and all that will save us. This planet is all we have and all that will save us. Our own honor is all we have and all that will save us. Each other's humanity is all we have and all that will save us. All that we are, all we will be known for, all we will be judged by, all that will intervene for us, save us, complete us, redeem us, is us. Us. Now, it's that moment to greet your neighbors. Switch to gallery view, unmute your device, and offer a greeting to those around you. We'll sound a chime at the end to signal.
Lorraine,
Good
I'm
morning.
happy to see you.
Good morning.
Hi, Susan.
Hey,
Good
everyone.
morning.
Good to see you, Jesse.
everyone.
Jesse, hi,
Morning,
Jesse.
everyone.
Everyone.
Hi.
Deb, you're back.
Nice to see you all.
Hi,
Welcome,
Doug.
Nancy,
Hello to you.
Tony,
Lovely to see you. Hi, Sean and
Annette,
Laura.
Eve,
Good morning, Gary.
Dave, good to see you, and Kim,
I don't think we met, but it's nice to see you.
Laura, and Sean. Nice to see you too.
Listen, Fred.
Susan,
Delighted to meet you
Hi,
all.
Gail.
Who's Gail?
Jared.
Here comes the ding dong.
Deb's really good with her hair.
Now, I invite you to join me in reading our opening words, which will now appear on your screen. Let us cast the circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast the circle of a cherished space here. A space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space and in ourselves the seeds that grow a different kind of life, a life of graciousness, of creative intelligence, a place of life and spirit for ourselves and our families.
Each Sunday, we've been asking people a question, and that question is an important part of how we try to, in some ways, speak to each other and learn from each other. I wonder if you would be willing to share a time in your lives when you felt that you had been redeemed. It's not an easy question, because sometimes being redeemed is a complicated process, and being able to somehow make it into a short amount of conversation that you can offer us, maybe 3 of you, 2 of you, so that we can learn a little bit from you, takes a moment to get to. Now I see that Lauren or Dave, they have their hand up. Lauren or Dave, would you be willing to tell us how have you felt redeemed?
So when I heard this, I knew exactly the story I was going to tell. I worked on a board at Unicamp, and I worked with a gentleman named Jim, who was a lovely man, but he did something wrong, and it really bothered me. And I kind of slandered his name, and I was 20 years old, not that smart, and realized it was the wrong thing to do. And then about 10 years later, I had not spoken to him in that time. We did a service where we had to make eye contact with everybody in the congregation, one at a time, twice. And I had a very hard time looking him in the eye. And what wound up happening was I did look him in the eye, and he looked in the eye to me. And we had to do this twice. And the first time was really awkward. And the second time, he forgave me. And it was probably the single most powerful moment of redemption I've ever had.
Thank you, Lauren. Doug, I see your hand is up.
Thanks, Wayne. I too knew immediately what I might be able, or I would be willing to share about. Some people won't know that many years ago, I left the congregation. I got to a place where I wasn't feeling fulfilled, and I was having some real difficulty in my relationship with the neighborhood. And I really had no plan or intention on coming back. And then I had attended our water communion one fall and knew that I was ready to come back. And I don't know if it fits, too easily into the theme. Yet I know two things about that experience. One, I needed to leave and I needed to come back. And two, the conversation of reconciliation that I had with you, Wayne, was the best of my life.
Thank you, Doug. We have time for one more, and I see a phone conversation, but I don't see a number, and I'm not sure who it is, but will you be willing to share with us?
Yeah, hi there, Wayne. This is David Zalokar on the phone. When I heard that the topic was redemption, I immediately recalled, a lot of people in the congregation may already know that I had years and years ago, I had a serious problem with drugs and alcohol. And as a result, I did a lot of, nasty things to those closest to me. And it was through the process of becoming sober and making amends for those harms that I'd caused people that I feel that I'd truly been redeemed for those actions. And, I continue to do that kind of work in my life because I do fall to the wayside innumerable times and, need to be aware that redemption is just not a one-shot thing. It's something that, I can only speak for myself, is somewhat of an ongoing thing in my life. So that's my story.
David, thank you very much. That's all we have time for, but I hope other people in other Sundays will also give us your wisdom, because this isn't a place where there's only one wisdom. There are many, and we need to hear them all. Thank you. Susanne, I think there's an opening song, one of my favorites.
You've got it, Wayne. We're going to sing together, actually a song that we sang at our last, not this one in November, but our last in-person water gathering, fall of 2019. So thanks, Doug, for mentioning that. This is Rivers of Grace by Carla Gates. I welcome you to join me in singing. Come into the healing rivers, rivers of grace. Come into the healing rivers, rivers of grace. Come into the healing rivers, rivers of grace, flowing down, down, down to my soul. Love shines in those healing rivers, rivers of grace. Love shines in the healing rivers, rivers of grace. Love shines in the healing rivers, rivers of grace, flowing down, down, down to my soul. Forgiveness flows in those rivers, rivers of grace. Forgiveness flows in these rivers, rivers of grace. Forgiveness flows in these rivers, rivers of grace, flowing down, down, down to my soul. Come bathe in the healing rivers, rivers of grace. Come bathe in the healing rivers, rivers of grace. Come bathe in the healing rivers, rivers of grace, flowing down, down, down to my soul. Flowing down, flowing down, down, down to my soul. And one more time. Flowing down, down, down to my soul.
Thanks, Suzanne. Now, all the young and young at heart, please come up to the screen and get close to it because Zee has something to share with you. Zee?
Good morning, everyone. So today we're talking about redemption. Now, the idea of redemption is something that I struggled with for a long time. I think because I didn't really understand it. It was always spoken of as something that had to be given by God, and I never really understood what it was or why it was said to be so necessary. As I grew up, I started to understand redemption as a synonym for forgiveness, at which point I started to understand that it wasn't something that could only be given by God or spirit or whatever word you might use to replace God, but as something that could be given to and by each of us. And I started to understand some of the importance of it, because none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. We all mess up sometimes. And it is important to be able to forgive and be forgiven in life. And with that in my head, I didn't really think about redemption anymore for a long time. I just thought of forgiveness, and that was enough for me. Then when we started coming to services here and joined the congregation, and we started attending the forgiveness rituals that we do here, and those helped introduce another idea to me, that forgiveness, and therefore redemption, is something that we can work towards and give to ourselves. Of course, I didn't think about the redemption part of it at the time, as it was still kind of in the back of my head, not being thought about. But the idea of being able to offer yourself forgiveness was new to me and became very important to me. It wasn't until this service topic came up that I really started thinking about redemption again. And after thinking about it for a long time, I came to understand that I still didn't really understand it. So I started looking it up. And I found many definitions, as I often do, that only helped to confuse me. And then I found a video about redemption for kids that said something I hadn't heard before, that no matter which definition of redemption you use, it boils down to the same thing, that redemption is what happens when something bad or painful or worthless becomes something good or valuable or worthwhile. And that I understand a little better. It made me think it made me think of some thoughts about pain and struggle from Buddhism, that pain, that hard times are a part of life. And if we can go through it and go through it calmly, we can go out on the other side of the pain better for it. This is true across many parts of life. If you work through the pain of a muscle injury, for example, you can come out on the other side of physiotherapy with muscles sometimes stronger than they were before. If you go through the pain of a relationship or a friendship ending, you can gain an understanding of yourself that you didn't have before. If you go through the pain of a fight with someone you love, you can forgive each other and find a new strength that wasn't there before. If we struggle through the pain of a pandemic, we can come out the other side a more compassionate, loving people. So I've come to agree that redemption is important. I'm still not entirely sure how to go about it, though. What do you all think? Can we as people find and work towards and give ourselves that redemption? Does it take others from our communities to help us, or even some great force beyond us all? I think maybe it could be done with any one of those, or maybe it takes some combination of them all working together. I really don't know, but I think Wayne has some ideas for you all in a little bit. For now, thank you for listening.
Thanks, Zee. This is a special time in our service when we invite you to share a joy or concern in your life. If not, then let us light this final candle for all the joys and concerns that remain unspoken in our hearts. And now I ask our minister to lead us in meditation.
A few weeks ago, Susanne and I were able to do the hung drum and voice as a meditation, and we're going to try that again today. I'm going to try a more lyrical meditation. So if you wish, close your eyes, find a place to sit quietly. Imagine walking. Imagine walking with many trees around you. And as you walk, go to a tree. And lean your back against it. Feel it below you. Feel it above you. Feel it behind you. And let its life force wash over you. And in the first wave, let your breath rest. And in the second wave, let your thoughts rest. And in the third wave, let your memories fill you, all of them. A symphony of emotion, more than you can imagine, your own. And let them make you whole. Redeemed, made whole, seen. And then begin detaching from the tree. Turn around, touch its bark. be gracious. And begin walking home. Filled, free. Finally. And then it's over. Thanks, Susanne. Let me draw you all back. Thank you. Not that long ago, I was at a Starbucks, and when I asked a young woman behind the counter if I could use a debit card because I was out of cash, she said, sure. Then a few moments later, when it worked, she said, awesome. I smiled and thought silently that using my debit card was not really that awesome. We use so many words in our lives, and words can and have changed their meaning as we use them. Sometimes this makes it a little harder to use the right word because we don't really know what it means anymore. It's harder to express feelings when a word like awesome can be used for the most magnificent emotions a human can experience, as well as the use of a debit card. The word redemption has the opposite problem. It's a word hardly ever used. We might consider it an old-fashioned word or a word that Christians used long ago. I almost never heard it used in casual conversation. It's old, 800 or 900 years old. It meant a buying back, a releasing, a ransoming, long before it became a religious word. As time went on, it took a more personal meaning. It meant releasing one from a burden or deliverance from a burden we carry. Now, you and I might carry a burden because we've done something wrong and we feel guilty about it. We might carry a burden because we have not forgiven someone and we still carry anger and betrayal. We might carry a burden of poor habits, sadness, or numbness in our life. Redemption means letting go of that burden. To feel spiritual redemption, I believe, requires us to do two things. The first is that we have to feel and acknowledge that we're carrying a burden. And the second is we have to be willing to be blessed or forgiven or healed by something outside of our own ego, outside of ourself. Maybe this movie clip can help us understand it. It's less than 2 minutes. Watch it with me.
Andy crawled to freedom through 500 yards of shit-smelling foulness I can't even imagine. Or maybe I just don't want to. 500 yards. That's the length of 5 football fields. Just shy of half a mile.
This movie is called The Shawshank Redemption. It's one of my favorite movies. Andy, the man you saw, was imprisoned unjustly. He almost did the crime he was accused of, but he didn't do it. Circumstances made him look guilty, and he was convicted of murder. Over many years, he carried this injustice and the burdens of prison until he found a way to escape. When he crawled out of that pipe and stumbled in the rain, you saw him put his arms up in what I would call a moment of redemption. And he was accepted and blessed by the rain. At that moment, the movie suggests everything changes for him. He's released from his burden, his guilt, and his pain. You might say he was cleansed from the suffering he carried. He felt free. River of love, wash over me. You heard some people say it, and I bet all of us have felt something like this before or wanted to feel it. We wanted to feel what Andy felt because most of us do carry a burden, self-made or not, and we need help in letting it go so we can begin again. Often our burden can be embarrassing to talk about and painful to recognize or remember. It is difficult and painful to remember our burdens, so we often ignore them. Redemption is not one of the words we use often because we don't experience it. And the reason we don't experience it is because it requires something outside of our control to help us let go. And our ego is often tied to the burden through fear and guilt and pain. So we need something outside of that ego to help us release it. Those burdens over time define us. But when a loved one, God, or nature, or an unknown part of ourselves sees us as more than an ego with a burden, at that moment, we can see ourselves as something, someone, some being larger than our burden. And the act of seeing ourselves as more than an ego tied to a burden frees us. When Andy put his arms up to the sky, he was whole and complete again. He stripped off the shirt and the t-shirt and felt the rain, and he was anew. Redemption, I believe, is a human experience. We can all find it in our own way, in our own time, but find it we must to deepen our spirituality. We need to see beyond our own everyday awareness, our ego. This is why we've created temples and synagogues and churches. We come to spiritual places to be helped to see life differently, to let go of the burdens we carry so we can become aware of the beauty and the love and the synergy of life, so we can work toward justice. One of the oldest temples in Turkey It was built 11,000 years ago. I imagine that people just like you and I came to that temple on a sunny day with golden grasses blowing in the fields around them so they could experience something other than their day-to-day cares. They, like us, want to be released from their worries and their superstitions and their fears and their numbness. That temple 11,000 years ago was built so they could experience redemption. We built those structures, and I believe we build them today because we all want to be free from our burdens. Martin Buber writes that we can be redeemed only to the extent to which we see ourselves. And Bob Marley wrote, "None but ourselves can free our mind." But we have to be willing to see ourselves truly. When we did Circles of Trust in our community, I saw people see themselves truly. And after seeing themselves differently and truly, watching us see them as whole, good people, they were often able to let go of their burden. So I know we can help each other experience redemption. I know this. In fact, this aspect of seeing ourselves differently is most easily done through the eyes of trusted friends and loved ones. We all have done something wrong to ourselves or to others. We have not done the right things at times. We're numb at others. We have to find a way to escape, like Andy, from our burdens. And maybe the tree can offer it, or the rain, or the walk in the woods, the light from the sky, the deep dark of our dreams. So, can you and I admit our burdens one day in a space like this, to ourselves, to our loved ones, a counselor, a spirit guide, God, a member here? And then we can let life, a trusted part of our own soul, whatever God means, to help us let go. Imagine how it might come to you. Like Gordon said, it might be comforting to know that the Universalist part of our Unitarian Universalist faith tradition was born out of redemption. In the 1700s, Protestant Christianity proclaimed that only special people could enter heaven upon their death. Those special people were chosen by God and church leaders. That's why they were special. Our Universalist ancestors thought this was preposterous. They believed all people were chosen. All people could enter heaven. They felt that all people could be saved, redeemed. You can see that now in our efforts to treat everyone equally. The next time it's cold and clear outside and you see your breath, the next time you walk in the chapel of a forest, the next time you feel the peaceful calm of sleep coming, the next time you come to this building and see friends and strangers, consider, can you acknowledge a burden you carry? A forgiveness you've not been offered, a forgiveness you have not offered, a sadness you feel, a numbness that confines you. Admit them to yourself. Admit them to the cold, to the trees, loved ones, or your own soul. Let the feelings inside you settle. Admit your burdens again and again, and when the time is right, and the time will be right, let the deep, cold night, the shadows among the trees, the soft voice of a loved one, the feeling of God, or the voiceless longing of your own soul to help you put your burden down. Without words, judgment, or the cloying of our internal dialogue, redemption will come. You and I will be redeemed. You might put your arms in the air. Don't wait too long. It's all we ever have. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Wayne. Now is the time for our offertory. This congregation is a living entity, and like all living things, it must have nurture and sustenance. If you take part, we ask you to give back. If we contribute to the life of this community, then we affirm our lives within it. If you're already contributing by pre-authorized withdrawals, thank you. To give now, please consider making an e-transfer or writing a check. Even consider a reoccurring gift. A link is in your chat window for you now, and all you need to do is click on it and it will take you to our donations page. We'll now pause and Susanne will play.
Our closing song for the service today is Guide My Feet, a song well loved by our choir and community since I began my directorship at Neighborhood 15 years ago. And really, I never researched this song before this week, and I've learned a lot. This song is adapted from a Christian hymn based on Hebrews 12:1, comparing living a life of service to the ableist metaphor of using your feet to run a race. I think we've always sung it in the sense that, before I go on to that, just to say, in the Christian version, they're calling out to God, to Lord, for support on this journey, saying, guide my feet, Lord, while I run this race. And in the UU version, we've taken out the Lord and are looking to each other for that support and that guidance, so that we don't do this work in vain, that as we learn and grow as a community in support and love for each other, that we are looking to each other to hold each other up, to make mistakes, forgive each other, and keep going. Search my heart, hold my hand, let's keep doing this together. I listened to a version by Bernice Reagan Johnson, a wonderful American musician, and when she sings this song, it is a plea, it is a cry. It is not a joyful song. It is asking for help because we need help to get there. It's a hard, long road. And it's really changed how I approach this song. So Fortunately, I did this research after we recorded it, but now I hear the song and feel the song in a totally different way than I have for the last 15 years that we've been singing it. Wanted to share that with you, as I hope you'll share with me how you're learning and growing as we continue running this race, not in vain, with each other. This is Guide My Feet. 1, 2, 3. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide my feet while I run this race. Guide I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. Hold my hand while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. Stand by me while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. Search my heart while I run this race. For I don't want to run this race in vain. For I don't want to run this race in vain.
That was lovely. Now I invite you to sing with Susanne as we extinguish our chalice.
Although our chalice has been darkened, we hold the fire within our own hearts.
I'd like to leave you with a blessing that you have been bringing to this chalice and to the people around you and to this community for more than 20 years. I bless that there is a moment soon where you feel the pause or the quiet to begin the process of redemption. Seeing yourself, letting an outside part of life redeem you. For those of you who do not wish to join a breakout room, thank you for joining us. Thank you very much. Everyone who remains here will be asked to join a breakout room. Today's question is, can you recall a time when you have felt redeemed? Now remember, at 12:30, we'll be having our budget meeting, and in this room that you're in now, we'll be registering people. So if you want to talk to someone and you'll be sent to a breakout room, that's fine. If you want to ask a question about the congregation, or you want to talk to me, or you want to talk about some theology, I kind of like that every once in a while, stay in this room and let Mike know that you want to be, in the room with me to ask questions and things, and he'll send you there. So I always love this piece of a ritual, and I think that it came by happenstance, but I wonder if you could go to gallery view now and unmute yourselves, and together and in sequence of some kind, we say namaste to each other, which means that I salute the spirit within you.
Namaste.
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 Namaste. Namaste.
Thank you,
Namaste.
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 Yes.
Holding your breath.
Yep.
Namaste.
There we go.